3, 2, 1, and we are live. Hello and welcome to Create Now. I'm your host, Vegan Steven. We're talking a little bit about synthesizers right now. We have been talking so far about oscillators, using two oscillators together, using our 4 basic waveforms: sine wave, triangle, sawtooth, square, with variable pulse width, bit of white noise as an option. And there's some other mods you can do with two oscillators interacting with each other, such as sync, which means that every time the first oscillator is triggered, the second oscillator triggers at the same time, so they are in sync. The two squares are with each other. So here would be one wave. Of course, is a bit much, isn't it? So here is one wave, and that is in sync with itself. But when you bring in another wave, it starts to chorus around. And you can change the amount of that by slightly detuning the pitch of one. Right now, these two are both at 8 feet. We can change how fast they pulsate by slightly detuning. Let's do this with the square wave. So, by using the phase, we can create pulse width. Kind of. There it is. Yeah. So what I'm doing is I have two oscillators. Sometimes if oscillators don't have a pulse width option, you can get two oscillators, get them to play the same thing, and if they're not in sync, the phase will actually cancel each other out. Whoa! Hear that? So it's getting smaller, it's getting bigger. That is the same thing, sound effect. Let's check out and move actual pulse width. So I hope what you realize what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about using phase cancellation to create pulse width, and you can change the speed of the phase cancellation by changing the pitch slightly of one oscillator. I am delighted that I got through that, man. That was... I didn't know if I'd be able to explain that. I don't know if that made sense to you guys, but it made sense to me. So I'm just going to take a break and pat myself on the back. How are you guys doing? Fucking hell. This stuff's fucking intense, isn't it? Sorry for cursing. Pulse width. Yeah, so some mono synths don't have... Oh yeah, sorry, let's check out this pulse width. So you can emulate on a lot of old monophonic synthesizers with two oscillators. They don't have pulse width. They don't have oscillator sync. They don't have true ring mod. They have ring mod, but maybe not true ring mod, if you want to get all arty-farty about it. So yeah, oscillator sync. If you don't have oscillator sync, you're gonna get phasing. And phasing, you can hear the thing right here. It's going in and they're going in and out of phase with each other. The low end is getting cancelled out. If you're having a problem knowing if something's in phase or not, you flip the phase, whoop, and if it gets louder, it was out of phase. Now that sounds confusing. When things are out of phase, the low end, all that goes missing. Now sometimes, if you want to get philosophical, stuff being out of phase sounds a hell of a lot better than being in phase. It helps it cut through the mix, man. If it's often things are too big. When you're trying to fit things in between two speakers, everyone wants to have. The guitarist wants to have loads of low end. The bass player wants loads of high end. People are just going out of their fucking gardens and into their other neighbours' gardens and just been like, wow, I want to hang out here. Which is fine. Just, if you keep it traditional, You know, guitars going for that upper mid range, bass going for the low mid, subs, and so on. It just makes things a little bit easier, but it's fine if you can work it out. As far as orchestration goes, if you can all work it out yourselves in a room and it sounds good, it'll sound good on the CD or whatever. But if it sounds balls on the CD in the practice room, it's gonna sound fucking balls on the phone recording. Some people think like, oh, once we record it, the song will be good. No, the song's shit no matter what. Like, if you get a hit song or something, just play it on acoustic guitar. You're like, oh, it's fucking class. If the songs don't magically become good once you record them really well, or do they? Anyway, that's a little bit of ranting. Alright, so here's so you don't get that chorusing. Whoa. So you can change the two waves beating against each other, okay, by slightly the speed of them, by slightly detuning. Let's try it out. Oh yeah. Oh, that sounds nasty. Oh, that's a nice slow one there. You hear it? What's going on with this? Excuse me. You hear it? Pulsating. And if we get it an octave apart, there's much less phase problems. You get much fatter. But there's still phase cancellation there. Phase cancellation, it drives me fucking nuts, but it's part of life, isn't it? What it drives me most nuts is when it's in like high production films. I'm like, the phase cancellation. Yeah, and then they'll be like, oh, we meant the low end to drop out there for those 30 seconds of dialogue. And it's like, you did on your whole. No, sorry, that's me being very bold. I'm just talking about the burden of being a sound snob, man. Let's get into portamento. Portamento, once again, is when you slide between one note and the other. If you go towards your slide or portamento knob, all you're doing is delaying, adjusting the amount of time that it takes to go between the two notes. So here's, I think I've got a 1, 2, 3 octave keyboard. There's my C's. And I'm going to slide between the highest C and the highest, what note is that? C as well, is it? I hope it is, anyway. Alright, so portamento on 1, it should shoot straight away between the two. That's pretty good. Portamento on 5, sliding between the two, it should take a bit longer. There we are. Slide back down. Oh yeah. And now portamento on 10, so it's going to really have a ripping sound. Oh yeah. And back down. That's a glorious way to start an album, isn't it? Like, just like this. We're starting now. Bring in some noise. Anyway, so as I keep talking about two oscillators. You got your two. If you have whatever synth you have, you generally have one envelope. If you're lucky, you have two. The envelope takes care of the. You can assign the envelope to any destination you want. You can assign it to control the filter. Here's some white noise for you. The low pass filter, the high pass filter. So that high pass filter is always letting the high end, all that whiskey stuff through. The low pass filter is always letting that low end through. Alright. You got your mixer, once again, it controls the volume of your two waves. Here's one saw, here's two saws, and here's saws an octave apart, here's some squares an octave apart. They sound very similar, don't they? That's squares, and this is saws. Square, saw. saw swapper either. It's interesting. Anyway. What was really cool as well, I was listening to the sounds of these oscillators. Not that, just of the wave shapes up in the high register. And they sound very unusual. Well, listen to how nice this triangle is. The nice thing about monophonic synths is it really makes you choose your notes. You're not just like all the time just being like, oh, the keys, oh, sounds huge. And you can't hear the bass player, you can't hear it. It's just about a bit of taste. Being reserved. Choosing your words. Silence is a powerful tool. So let's listen to these in the high register, okay? So sweet, like. That's a triangle. If you want to make that more of a sine wave, just use the low pass filter. Just give you that fundamental. I don't have a, what's that thing called? A something graph. Sinograph. Osteograph, I can't remember on a hand. Oscilloscope, so I can't see the actual shape of the wave, but you can kind of guess that's pretty pure. More like a bit more breathy, you just mix in a little bit of the old white noise with that, but don't get into that, and a bit of the old fluctuation in volume or all that stuff, to simulate that natural vibrato that happens in the human voice, which is generally it's a downward. It goes below the pitch and back up. You don't want to be going above the pitch. It stands out too much, and usually go below and come back up. Let's talk a little bit more about these envelopes in a minute. So, we've talked extensively about oscillators. Brilliant. The whole steps thing. You got your 4 steps. You got your 8 steps, you got your 16 steps, you got your 32 steps. They're just octaves. Setting your keyboard different octave ranges. All pipe organs! All pipe organs! So back in the pipe organ days, you'd need like 4 feet would be that. The pipe would be 4 feet, and then if the pipe was like fucking 2 feet long, if you had one at 32 feet long, it'd be like 32 feet long. Jesus. 16 feet long, 18 feet long, 4 feet long. Think of those big church things. Then you got your 2 feet poles. You know when you go in the church and you see this big fucking huge thing? I think it's Beethoven, it was Bach. Bach said it was like the king of all the instruments. It's like the big pipe organ. Getting mixed up with my composers now. So these kind of pipe organs, they take up like the whole back end of the church, and for that kind of instrument you need quite a long, for that church environment, it only transients get lost, so you need long sustained instruments are what works best for in an echo environment where a lot of music has to do with what notes suit the music suits the environment. So like in Africa you can fucking scream and shout and bang drums because it doesn't, think about if you're screaming and shouting in a church and banging drums, the sound would just go on for fucking ages and fuck shit up, and those kind of sounds work better outside. Kind of. There's a whole endless books written on, how different kinds of music is designed for different kind of places. There you are. Geez, what's the name of that book? What is the name of that book? I better look it up, lads. I better look it up, because there'll be war if I don't give my references. music creates or something. How Music Works. How Music Works is the book I'm referencing. And it is by David. How Music Works by, come on, give me a name. David Byrne, a musician, writer, public figure, best known for his work in the Talking Heads. Okay, so that's who I was referencing there. Very enjoyable. The information once I had it was very enjoyable. Personally, I just find it a bit of a chore, the act of reading itself, but sure, look. So, envelopes and LFOs. Let's listen to the use of an envelope on the filter. So, the attack is how long, you set the time, how long it takes to reach its highest point. Alright? Or do you want your attack just straight away, or do you want like a rise to it before it peaks? The decay is how long it takes to come back down. And the sustain is where the resting place will be. Alright, so how long after the transient where you want the volume to be. Alright, so pianos, guitar would have a loud attack. Drums, for example, would be just nice quick transient. Very quick. Now, if we were having some sustain in that, if we move the sustain knob on the envelope, it will actually affect the resting point of the filter. Okay, so I'm talking about an envelope generator and how it reacts when it's applied to a low pass filter. Okay, so when we put our finger, when we trigger this envelope, jeez, why does that sound out of tune? Okay, when we trigger the envelope, the attack, yeah, just those functions are gonna. So I'm gonna distort this, okay, just so you can really hear what's going on. Okay. So right now I have the filter like halfway, okay? So what's going to happen is the envelope is going to shoot open and close like this. So when I put my finger on the key, it's going to shoot open and close. So what we're doing is controlling the attack is how long it takes to reach the open position, the decay is how long it takes to go back to the closed position, and the sustain is dictating where it will be resting once it is closed. Okay, you can have it resting very close to its maximum opening point. Here will be, so I'm just going to go over this a few more times. So here's a filter. We got it closed. So when you hit it, just think of even a drum. It shoots open and then it starts to close. So that's the attack and decay. How long it takes to go fully open is the attack, and how long it takes to close is the decay. Brilliant. And then the sustain is just where it's, after it already has decay, that's come back, where its resting point is. It's going to have a high resting point, it's going to have a low resting point. You're going to find that out with the sustain knob. Alright? And then the release is how long it takes to go back to its starting position after you've taken the sustains run out or whatever. Alright, so let's have a listen to that. Now it's very fast, that's why I have to keep explaining it. It's gonna, so I'm exaggerating the process here just so you can really hear what's happening. Okay, so I'm turning up, I'm setting the destination of the envelope to control the motion of the low pass filter. Okay, here we go. Wish me luck. Alright, filter. The sound right here That's everything closed. Alright, now we're gonna add some attack. Okay, we can hear. Do you hear that? Now let's add some decay. Okay, do you hear that? So there's a lovely slide. It's sliding up a bit like a truck. Yeah, do you hear that? It's fading in slowly and slowly out. So I have a raised attack and I have a raised decay. Now, if I have a decay set, yeah, so everything on 0 apart from the decay, it's going to instantly come in but then slowly come out. And there's no sustain, so once it's out, it's out. And there's no, okay, so here's that sound. Okay, you hear that? It rose up and then just died. Let's listen to the inverse of that. We're going to have a slow attack with no decay. So it's going to sound like... Do you hear that? It rises and then just cuts out. Okay, so this is a slow attack once again with no anything else. It's going to make the volume swell. Do you hear that? Now, once again the inverse of that, no attack and then just loads of decay. So it's going to instantly come in and then slowly come out, I hope. Alright, you hear that lovely little fade out? There we are. So for percussion hits, that's going to be a whole lot faster. But for pads and things like that, and background instruments, you can have a filter movement that takes more than 1 to 3 seconds. But you're dealing with milliseconds. We're talking 7 milliseconds, 20 milliseconds when we're talking with these percussive hits. They can be quite quick. The attack and decay, that is. So here's some rapid movement, okay? We're talking milliseconds here. So what you're listening to is the filter jumping around. Okay. So we're going to set up a slow attack. So it's sliding into it and stopping out of nowhere. Now we're going to turn up the decay. So it's going to look more like an equilateral triangle, I think is the right word. It's going up and it's going down. Lovely. Now we're going to turn up the sustain. So this means that it's going to go up and go down, but instead of going all the way down, it's going to rest at the sustain point. Okay. Are you with that? So it's going to, after it comes down from the decay, it's going to rest on the sustain point, and you can change where that sustain point is. Whether if that's related to volume, it'll only be a quiet sustained volume. If it's related to the filter position, it will dictate its resting position. Okay, hope you're with that, because that's fucking confusing. Sorry for Chris. So, here's... Alright, so that's filter movement. This is modulators for the filter, so you can either assign the LFO or an envelope. That's typically how you get movement going for these. Hand movement, but that's replicating an LFO. Now I'm going to have an LFO do that same movement on the distorted filter, okay? And speed it up. Okay, you get the idea. So envelopes are for like one hit. LFOs just keep going on forever, like wow, 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 wow. Even if you're not hitting it, it's still going wow, wow all the time. And you can change the speed of it from that low frequency oscillator, which means it can be in the subharmonic sub like audio hearing range. So that means you can't hear it. Only elephants can hear it and all this stuff. But you can use it to modulate things very slowly, like. So it's a bit of fun. that's a slow moving LFO. Okay. Now that's a triangle shape. We can use a saw ramping. Alright, we can also use inverse of that, so reverse that. So it sounds the same as the envelope, but it just keeps going. That's the only difference. You can speed that up. And here's the other bit that really confused me for a while. There's nearly always a knob that controls how much, like a percentage way, how much percent do you want it to control the LFO. How much do you want? There's an amount knob for how much you want your destination to be modulated. Fucking hell, that's a tricky word. Alright, so let's have a listen to that. This is LFO not on, okay? I'm going to turn up the LFO, the amount of the LFO, a little bit. Sounds pretty good actually, doesn't it? Now I'm going, so that's giving a little bit of movement there to the LFO, sorry, low pass filter. Now I'm going to turn up the amount that the envelope, the modulation generator. Oh yeah. And then it's halfway. Okay, so here's no LFO movement. Here's a quarter of the way. Lovely. Here's halfway. Oh yeah, and full way. Alright. So that means, are you doing a little bit of movement like this? Are you doing a big movement? Or are you doing a full welly? Alright, so there's an amount knob. How much do you want? Alright. Do you want this envelope taken over your life? And then synthesis gets even more intricate, because you can have both an LFO and an envelope control something, any destination, whether that's a single destination, such as the low pass filter. So you would have something moving it side to side, and then every time you trigger it, it would shoot in whatever direction. So it's a great way of keeping even more movement going, especially if you have a little bit of reverb. So envelopes, man. If you get your head around envelopes, ADSR, attack, decay, sustain, release. That is the full job. Sometimes there's 6 points, 5 point envelopes and so on. So there's an envelope shape. On a lot of modern synths, there's an envelope shape and then just two attack, decay buttons. So the sustain and release are kind of predetermined by the shape, because it's kind of a good idea, because it does get cumbersome moving around like multiple different envelopes and trying to make sure they all match, and it can just be handy just to have one envelope controlling most of the things that you're doing. It's just handy. So I guess the minimum a lot of synths have is an oscillator. They have a mixer if they have more than one oscillator. They have a filter, just some to carve out the frequencies a little bit. They have an LFO to move it side to side. They have an envelope to do a kind of quick movement, like or up. So down or up. That's more of a attack decay envelope. The sustain, if you keep your finger on it, where is that resting point of either the envelope or the pitch. So you can use these envelopes for all sorts of magical, wonderful things. Alright, thank you very much. It is great now. Check out all the things below, all the links, they're top notch. Patreon, all that good stuff. It's every day. And overnight, have a great one. Today's date is the 10th of the 3rd, 2020. The time is 1:32. It is a bit of a rainy day in Ireland. Keep going, you can do it. It takes so many hours to learn this stuff. Just keep at it. You'll do awesome, man. I couldn't understand this for flipping years. Keep going.